curiosity as an antidote for judgment. So should be fun conversation. But before we get started, let's take a minute or two to get present. Let's take a deep breath in through your nose and hold it. And imagine clean, crisp oxygen flooding your lungs, flowing into your bloodstream, nourishing all your cells, all your organs, bringing vital life energy to your body and being. And as you exhale, exhale any tension, stress, negativity, fatigue. And now let's take another deep breath in through your nose and hold it. This time, imagine brilliant, bright light lighting you up from the inside out, illuminating and electrifying all your cells, all your molecules, all your electrons, and creating this brilliant beam of light from your heart out into the world. And as you exhale, exhale any remaining tension, stress, negativity, fatigue. And now let's just gently press our palms together and very, very, very softly rub your fingers against your palms just to feel the deliciousness of that sensation, and bring yourselves present right here, right now, in these remarkable physical forms that enable us to experience life. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So good to be with you this morning. Good morning, Rosalind. It's great to have you here with us this morning. As always, I so appreciate your chiming in and being such an active part of our morning musings. So thank you. And thank you to everybody else who's joining us and listening. And please, I encourage you to comment and join the conversation. So today's Rosalind, I have to tell you, I told you guys yesterday that my cat Jewel was going through a period of medical distress, and she wasn't eating or drinking, and she was having upset of her bowels. And Rosalind was gracious enough to have her included in the prayer circle through Morning Cup of Joy with Terry Angel. And I just want to make a shout out, because you guys have held me in the circle when I was healing from COVID and from my grief around Maggie, and then held Jewel in the circle. And I just want to let you know that she is doing so much better today. She ate yesterday. Her bowels seemed okay. She's eating and drinking today as well. So I'm so grateful for all the positive energy sent her way. And I just want to say thank you. And thank you to Terry for sponsoring that healing circle, that prayer circle. And for all of you who participate in that and who have sent your positive energy my way and Jewel's way as well. It is wonderful. Thank you so much, Rosalind. So much appreciation. And Tammy says, oh, great news. So happy to hear that. Thanks for the update. Well, you guys, you get to have a window into portions of my life, that even some of my friends aren't aware of. So I just appreciate you so much. And what more can I say other than I'm so grateful? So thank you. Anyway, today's topic is curiosity. And I was talking more specifically about curiosity as a remedy for judgment. Where does judgment come from? It comes from a position of assumed knowing, right? Like, I know what's best. I know how things should be. I know something, and it puts me in a position to be judging somebody else who is doing something that isn't aligned with the way that I believe things should be, for example. And we can often get stuck in judgment. And also this applies to self-judgment as well, where we see ourselves doing things that we would prefer not to do, or that we judge ourselves for. I mean, it's really interesting. This was so funny. I have a client who's just awesome. I have to say, I am so blessed to have the most remarkable clients, truly, truly. But this one client has made so many strides and just has achieved such transformation, and I was celebrating that with her and just saying, this is amazing. And then she said, yeah, I really should be able to be celebrating this more. So not only, like there was a pattern of beating herself up, but not only did she, did she find ways to beat herself up over things she was judging herself about in the past, but here she was beating herself up for not celebrating her wins. It's just so funny. And so there was this place of judgment. And when we recognize that, we both had a laugh about that, by the way. But when we recognize that we're in a space of judgment, and, then some of us are inclined to judge ourselves for judging, right? It's like this horribly vicious vortex that we get sucked down into. But what I want to suggest is that if we, in that moment of recognition, when we recognize that we're making these judgments of ourselves, of others, that we can step from that place of judgment into a place of curiosity. Like, oh, isn't that interesting? What's up with that? What's that about? What insight is available to me here? What is the foundation of that judgment? Judgment is also something that's often motivated, from my perception, out of defense. So let's say you have a different opinion about things or a different foundation relating to certain things than I do, and you have certain beliefs and my beliefs don't agree with yours. Your judgment of me in some respect is a defense, a way for you to preserve and protect your own position, right? Like, when do we become judgmental? I think I am hypothesizing, again, not truth, just observation, and you may or may not agree. Please, draw your own conclusions. But for me, what I've observed is that judgment comes from a place of feeling threatened, where I can't make space to entertain your vantage point because it threatens my experience. So interestingly enough, in this era of the plague, I've seen this kind of behavior, judgment behavior, related to some choices that people make. And, in many cases, we're conditioned to, socially conditioned through the news media particularly, to believe that there are factions of people and that there are universal characteristics that define each of these factions. And when we observe or when we hear of opinions, we lump people into categories. And part of that is because we've made our own choices. Hello, Elaine, welcome. It's good to have you here with us this morning. We're talking about curiosity as an antidote, well, curiosity and particularly as an antidote to judgment of self and others. And anyway, I found that when people feel that they need to defend their position, that's often, that's where the judgment is coming from, in an attempt to fortify their own defenses, and that judgment becomes an offense. I mean, it's an offense and a defense, right? Because if I'm judging you, then what's the dynamic that's being set up? You know, the judger, and this is obviously not the case when we judge ourselves, but the judger judging another is assuming themselves in a place of superiority. Oh, you know what, Elaine? I didn't see the rose that you sent me on Messenger. I'm gonna look, see if I can find it, because I was so eager to see it, and here I am on Messenger, and I don't see anything here from you. So I don't know if you did it on my personal account, Mira Rubin on Messenger, but it didn't come through. So I'm so glad you mentioned it, because I would love to receive it and see it and enjoy it. So anyway, judgment, when we step into, you sent it to Mira Rubin, huh? It didn't come through. I don't know why that would be the case, Elaine. That's so weird. I've been having all kinds of weird stuff happening. I had like 3 appointments on my calendar this week that I didn't schedule for this week, that maybe came from September somehow, like that got misscheduled from September. I mean, bizarro stuff. Anyway, is Mercury retrograde? I wonder, you know, I don't follow that so much. I'm just wondering, because there's all this weird glitchy stuff happening. Anyway, curiosity is super powerful, even in the face of fear. You know, like when we talk about fear of the unknown, and this has also been something transformative with folks that I coach, you know, looking at fear of the unknown, transforming that fear to curiosity, where, you know, excitement and fear are not that different physiologically. There was a lot of similarity. And when we can move from, for instance, fear of the unknown to curiosity, like, oh, I wonder what's going to happen next, rather than, I don't know what's going to happen next, and that's terrifying. It's like, oh, there's all kinds of adventures that can show up, and all kinds of wonderful surprises. It doesn't have to be an expectation of negative surprises, you know, which happens to be, unfortunately, kind of the default for so many people, is to have these negative expectations, right, of the future. And so what creates anxiety and fear of the unknown is that we hypothesize and catastrophize all the possibilities that we might encounter going forward. And of course, that's going to engender fear. So instead, what if we created curiosity for ourselves? What if we indulged in, good afternoon, Pat. So good to have you joining us. Welcome. We're talking about curiosity as an antidote to judgment and fear, and just like an enlivening way to be going through life, being curious, you know, because when somebody does something to offend us, you know, or upset us, somebody does something and we initially react and get angry or offended or indignant or whatever. When we notice that, that's the key, obviously, noticing. But when we notice that, we can allow ourselves to start orienting, you know, to start being curious, to ask questions, because by doing that, we create an opening. When we're curious, it's kind of like allowing ourselves to see the world through the eyes of the innocent, and what I mean by innocent is like the unbiased, the eyes of a child, to open ourselves to new possibility. When we say, oh, okay, I'm just gonna be curious about that, like what the heck, what is going on here? And curiosity opens the gateways for learning. Curiosity opens the gateways for understanding. Curiosity is an opening in and of itself, because it's coming from a place of, I don't know, right? Or maybe there's something more for me to know here. So by its essential nature, curiosity is generative. Curiosity is stepping out of the box of, this is how it is, and I know this and I know that. And curiosity is saying, well, what's going on here? What did I miss? Or what can I learn? Or what can I see? Or what's another way of looking at this? And by its very definition, it's expansive. It's expansive. So whereas judgment and knowing is constrictive, right? When I judge myself or somebody else, what I'm doing is I'm dismissing the opportunity for connection, for real communication, for a deeper understanding. That's what judgment does. So Elaine says, judging is for me a conditioned response. I'm shocked to hear you saying that, Elaine, because yeah, okay, so now you've transcended that. Okay, so it was a conditioned response. I was conditioned to judge. I was taught by the best judges and became really masterful at it. You know what, Elaine, I think that's a story for so many of us, right? Growing up in truly judgmental households. And, like there's such an arrogance about judgment, even when we judge ourselves. It's so interesting, like there's the assumption of, I know better, or, there's all kinds of shoulds and conditions and all kinds of stuff attendant to judgment. So Elaine continues, breaking the habit of judging took my willingness to see my part in it and love myself. As I remember how to live without judgments of myself and others, I now live a fearless life, no judgment needed. I love that you connected fearlessness with or fear with judgment, and fearlessness with no judgment. Again, going back to that, that when we judge, it is a defense. It's a defense to try to preserve our position. And so when we can, instead of judging, allow ourselves to become curious, then what we're doing is we're creating an opening for opportunity, for connection, for learning, for creating bridges. So this and curiosity in and of itself is enlivening. It's enlivening because it activates that part of ourselves that is eager for discovery, that is eager for life, because life is constantly unfolding, and we separate ourselves from living by putting things in their neat little containers so that we can move on and don't have be found by this screen, the computer looking at while I'm talking. Remarkable this whole technology is that allows us to connect. Like if I get stuck on that, then I would be able, I would have to stop talking. I wouldn't be able to continue communicating. I wouldn't be able to, because I'd be so entranced by the magic, right? And so there's a wonderful book called The Doors of Perception by Aldous Huxley. And he talks about how rather than the brain being an expansive vehicle for connecting with living and functioning in the world, that it's really more of a filter that manages to filter information out, or at least the parts of the brain that are most active for us, act as these filters to dispense with certain information so that we can actually function. I mean, if we were connected to the wonder of everything that we experience in life, and might forget to eat, right? We might forget certainly wouldn't function in the culture that we have with much effectiveness. So on the other side of things, we become so entrenched in the constructs of our reality, in big air quotes, that we lose touch with the wonder and the curiosity about things. And we can willfully, through choice, active awareness and choice, we can reintroduce curiosity into our lives. And when we do, we bring back this innate sense of wonder and vitality and enthusiasm for life. So curiosity is a really, really powerful tool. And it can move us out of judgment. It can move us out of fear. It can be a respite, like a place to revitalize ourselves, to move into curiosity about even the most mundane thing. And it's fascinating because so many of the things that we might consider mundane are rather miraculous, like our phones, right? We are very connected to our phones, and to the point that it's become kind of mundane, like it's just sort of a fact of life. And when we allow ourselves to be curious, and really, I think curiosity is a bridge to greater experience, like to experience, what the heck is this thing that I carry around with me all the time, that I am engaged with all the time, and wow, what is that? What's the impact of that in my life? And what are all these, like, how the heck does this work, and how is it shaping culture? And I mean, you could go down a million thousand rabbit holes just by being curious about what is around us. Like, isn't this interesting? How did this come to be? Where is it headed? What, like, it wasn't that long ago that portable phones didn't exist. It wasn't really that long ago. And look at how quickly our culture has changed. How about curiosity? Like, there's this new thing emerging, and I guess maybe we'll do a talk about this too, called the metaverse. I don't know if you guys have heard about it. You've probably heard that Facebook has renamed itself Meta. I think to try and co-opt the metaverse, but hey, that's just my hypothesis at the moment. But oh, Elaine, I got it. I just got it. So I just got the rose. I am going to look at it even as we speak. And it says, tap to see blurred image, tap to see image. Wow, there's new. Oh my gosh. So Elaine just sent me this magnificent photo of a beautiful, beautiful rose that is brilliant orange on the outside and vibrant, vibrant yellow in the middle. And it's just magnificent. Elaine, thank you so much. And in a prior conversation where your inspiration to send this rose came from, Elaine said, be the rose, because we were talking about smelling the roses and making sure not to trample the roses. And Elaine said, be the rose, which I think is a wonderful invitation for all of us to be the rose. And that's part of curiosity, you know, like I think that being curious is being the rose, where we get to just be in this vibrant wonder. Like wonder is one of my core values, you know, to be in this space of wonder and awe in the world, you know, to be exploring, to be discovering. And that's part of what curiosity does, right? Curiosity invokes discovery, invites discovery and learning. And as you know, as we learn, we grow. And isn't that part of life? There's no time in life while we're really living that we don't keep growing. You know, my hypothesis, to again, my own opinion, whatever, is that when we stop learning, we start dying. And we can be learning up until our last breath. And there's so much new to experience and explore and to imbibe and to metabolize, you know, to bring into our beingness from our experiences of the world. Let's make the most of it. And curiosity is such a key to that experience. And with that, I'm going to call it a morning with so much gratitude to all of you for joining me in these morning musings, for your contributions and your support, your love, and your personal support of me and Maggie in the past, and Jewel, my cat. And I just am so grateful. So I'm Mira Rubin. This is the Core Connection. And I go live each weekday morning here in the Enlightened World Network Facebook page. And every weekday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern, please check out all the other wonderful programming on the Enlightened World Network Enterprise. So EWN, One with the EWN, One with the Earth, Enlightened World Living, Enlightened World Network, all on Facebook. And Rosalind says the saying, curiosity killed the cat. Yeah, so I think curiosity is something that gives us vitality. And we're so glad, I'm so glad to be able to share these mornings with you. So, in so much gratitude and appreciation and lots of love. Until next time.